is Emily.
I'm Stephanie.
And today we're going to do a review of Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. So for the first part of the video, we're going to be doing a spoiler-free portion, and then for the rest, we'll be going a little bit deeper into the story. So the story follows a Chinese-American mixed family who lives in the Midwest, or somewhere located in the mid to southern portion of the United States in the 1970s or so, and it involves around a murder or suicide of the eldest daughter and the sort of feelings that the family started having in the aftermath of the event. So Steph, what was your first impression of the story?
I was not happy with this book. So this book was actually because Emily recommended to me. She was like, you have to read this book for once. Usually I do the recommendations, but she recommended this time. And I listened to it via audiobook, which I think impacted it. So I was not particularly happy with this book, and yeah, just didn't like it.
Okay, so for me, I actually thought the story was relatively sad. Obviously, I recommended it, so I liked it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think generally I thought you might have enjoyed it a little bit because it was different from the usual pile that we kind of bring into our book club, our book review. But yeah.
So I want to go into a little bit about my experience with the book because like I said earlier, I read it or listened to it via audiobook. It was available on Audible as one of their like audiobook channels. I don't know. I felt like maybe it's because the narrator as well, because obviously like with audiobook, narrator is like a huge impact of how you like the book at the end. Like if they do a good job using different voices, or they have like multiple narrators, which I know some books do, it highly impacts like the outcome of the book. But this one, I don't know, like I did not like it. I thought it was like his voice was dry, like he was kind of like, I actually like felt like I was like, there's multiple times when I wanted to go to bed. Like I almost fell asleep, but I couldn't because I was like commuting or something like that when I listened to these audiobooks. And so I didn't like it at all. Like I think the narrator just had negatively impacted the book for me, because I know Emily told me that she read it like as like a physical copy and she thought it was a really easy read. And I think like if I had read it as a physical copy, I might have enjoyed it a little bit more.
I read this book in the print form, and overall my experience was really different from yours. Since I was able to really bring my own interpretation to a lot of the narrative and a lot of the character descriptions, I didn't have the same issues with like having someone else's voice take over. So for me, I thought it was a really quick read. There's a lot of the chapters were pretty short, and the characters themselves were well developed enough that you could carry on with the narrative and understand where they were trying to go. But I don't know if that was yours.
Yeah, see, that's the thing with an audiobook, because it was so dry, I couldn't get into the story as much, and therefore the characters lacked a lot of development for me. I was just like, I don't understand where they're coming from, like why is he or she making these decisions, like what is their process behind it, like kind of like a sixth sense of me. I kind of get it because they are like an Asian family, so an Asian American family, so I'm kind of like, okay, like some of what you're doing, like I can kind of relate to, because as an Asian American myself, like I mean, I'm sure like I have had similar experiences, so I was able to relate on that aspect. But the thing is, like a lot of the decisions, also because it was set like back in the 70s or so, when racial distinction was also a lot more pronounced, it was very different for me to really relate and really difficult for me to relate to them as much as well. So we have now moved from, so those who have never read the book, please stop watching, and that's it for you guys. And then once you go read it, come over and continue watching this video with us as we discuss more spoilers of this book.
So we're going to try to go a little bit more in depth about the writing, the characters, and the plot. So the first point is about the writing. What did you think of it?
I mean, you can't really say writing to me because I listened to it.
Well, I guess in terms of like of a sort of narrative perspective, like someone actually kind of acting it towards you, what did you think about it? Because your feedback is about the audio version of the book. So
right.
I recommended it in the print form.
Right.
You're not recommending it in audio form. So what did you think about the audio?
Well, I mean, like I said, I really didn't like it. Narrator, the writing style, I guess, if I can even like call it that, because it's the guy just speaking to me. Um, I don't know, like it just seems like it was very, I don't know how to describe it. It was just very dry, I guess is really what it was.
Okay, so for me, in terms of the print form, a lot of the writing was quite literary. It's like, it's very much on the lines of To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'd say you
Yeah, so
probably agree.
that's why, that's also probably why I don't like it, because I don't like To Kill a Mockingbird.
But yeah, the book itself is written in a very pedantic form, so there is a lot of character development written within the sentences. So, especially to your point, I can completely understand why it's hard to catch every little nuance when you're listening to it
Right, exactly.
on a commute where there's so many other things going on. So don't read this book on a commute, or you might miss your stop if you read it really well. Because I've had people tell me that they legitimately were too into the story and they missed their bus stop.
And that's when the narrator is good.
That's when the narrator is good. For the audio version. For the print version, you may have that experience as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about the characters in this story. So you mentioned a little bit of how you felt those characters were a little dry. Can you elaborate?
Right, so I think that, okay, so some of the main characters are, so Marilyn and James are the parents. James is an Asian American who was like, you know, born and raised in America way back when, like probably at this point it's like 1950s, I would say. And then he, you know, got a teaching job, whatever, married his students, Marilyn at that time, and they had a family, and the kids are Lydia, Nath, who's like the oldest, I think, he's the oldest, right? And Hannah, who's the youngest. So for some weird reason, Marilyn and James really dote on Lydia. Like, apparently the reasoning is that she looks more white or something because she has like blue eyes, so maybe that's the reason. But I feel like I missed that part of the book, so I don't really remember that, but Emily like mentioned that, right?
Yes. To be completely clear, he married one of his students, not students.
Yeah, but one of his students. Yeah, one of his students.
Yes.
No, I said one of his students at that time.
Like, no, you said he married his students.
Oh, one of his students. Yeah, sorry.
And so,
one of his students. He did not marry multiple students, guys. He just married one. And so for some reason, like they really dote on Lydia. James dote on her because he thinks that, you know, like because she looks more white and therefore more can assimilate better in like a white culture. They are living in the Midwest or like South of America. That she will be better at finding friends, you know, being more like accepted among her peers, etc. Whereas on Marilyn's part, she wanted Lydia basically to have everything she didn't have, because after she married James, she kind of stopped her education and she didn't really have as much of an opportunity after she tried to go back to education, but it didn't really work out. So she was trying to force Lydia to follow that medical field and try to get her into a path that Marilyn was unable to do herself. Mm-hmm. So I think because of those two parenting aspects, they just really not really like harassed Lydia, but they kind of really focused on Lydia so much to the point that Nate, the eldest, who was also like a straight honors student, was completely, you know, out of the picture at the time. Hannah, the youngest sister, I think she was also like an accident, I think, right? She wasn't like planned, was also completely left out. Like I feel like Hannah herself was never really around, to be honest, until the end. And even then it was more of like a nuisance. Like Lydia didn't really want Hannah around with her. Nate didn't really care too much about Hannah. Also because I think there's age difference. Because Lydia and Nate were more closely in terms of age, whereas Hannah was, you know, like maybe an accident. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know if that was like true or not, but she was a lot younger than the two of them. So in terms of interests, hobbies, and whatnot, Hannah was always left out. So I think like reason why I think characters are a little flat was because I didn't really see much in terms of development. It was just more like the book was just mostly just telling us why Lydia, you know, committed suicide, and the parents around them, like what their thoughts were on this, like what led up to this, on Lydia's aspect, why she made her decision, when she made her decision, etc. So I think that in this way the characters were just not really well developed because they didn't really grow. I guess like my characters in books, for me to say they're well developed is that they grow throughout the book, but they didn't really grow. They were just more like an explanation.
So my account on characters is that I think a lot of them were there placed mostly for plot development. A good amount of the story was really held on the aftermath of Lydia, so you couldn't really see them like you could get a glimpse of who they were initially, but then as the story goes, it's like a lot of it just happens in a really short span of time, where like from the time that Lydia is found dead to like a year after, in terms of like what happens in between. And so there isn't really much of a conclusive resolution on any of the characters near the end. It wasn't like they learned their lesson. They were very much the same, other than maybe worse versions of themselves. And so my point of view was that a lot of how the characters got involved in the narrative was mostly there so that the author can drive her point about like the division between like the person like Lydia, who is more characteristically, like at least physically, accepted by the society, because this is relatively in the older times. So like in
but even then that wasn't the case.
Yeah, that wasn't the case at all. She was still very much an outcast.
Right, exactly. Like it was a misconception on her parents, especially with Jane's part. I don't think Marilyn really doted on her to kind of, because of her looks, to really pursue that. I think she doted on Lydia because she was female and she wanted Lydia to have that chance that she never had.
Right.
So for James' part, the reason why he doted on her was because she looked more white and therefore it could be easily more assimilated to the society around them. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of some of the whatever character development there was, it was very much emphasized about their insecurities. It was like James liked Lydia more than his other children, possibly because of his own upbringing and discriminations that he faced when he was younger. And Marilyn definitely liked Lydia better just because she looked more like her. Really is what the gist I found out in the book. And she had a really hard time accepting the fact and never knew that Lydia preferred housemaking over wanting to become a scientist. And I think that's a common theme a little bit with especially Asian American literature, where like there's such a difference between what a mother wants and what the daughter wants. And I think this way of writing it in terms of character development, I think Marilyn was the only one that really kind of grew, where she was like, she started in the beginning really disturbed about why her favorite child died. And then near the end, she went through the diaries of her child, her deceased child, and found out that Lydia wanted to do a lot less than what like she anticipated. But it was the same type of amount of pressure at the time, right? Because her mother wants one thing and she wants something else. So for me, Marilyn was the only character in the entire story that really encompassed that arc that you mentioned, in terms of something a little bit more exciting than just being them. And then some other minor characters like Jake, I felt Jack was a very minor character, and he didn't do much in terms of the story either, other than being a sort of a wedge between Nate and Lydia, and trying to explain why, in particular, maybe Lydia was isolated. So the only real character out there was, I think this whole entire book was about Marilyn and Lydia. Everyone else kind of just didn't matter.
So if they were set in the 1970s, how come there weren't any like disco stuff going on?
They were in a more rural setting, I think.
Like I guess it's, yeah, maybe. But like, you know, like in the 70s, you're all about like the disco and like the hippies.
Have you visited the 70s or something?
No, but like everyone knows that. The 70s is like the disco like decade.
Okay, but that's like saying like our decade right now is like everyone should be singing rap.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are.
Do you know how to rap? You know how to rap?
No, I not know how to, but I listen to it.
Oh yeah, but that's what you said. It's like more disco. What do you mean by more disco? More disco songs?
In terms of like what they, like, I don't know. I just feel like it didn't seem like the setting was really in the 1970s, other than the people and their reaction to like racial discrimination.
Okay. All right.
Like,
Yeah,
you know
I
what I'm
can
saying?
see that.
Yeah. Like it seems like it could have literally been set in today, like, you know, modern day, with plus the racial discrimination.
Yeah, and
on a more like intense scale.
Right, and I don't know if that was actually an author choice to maybe like be sparse about like the setting itself, because she wanted to also emphasize her point of view about today.
So at the end of this discussion, I kind of wanted to say that I didn't like the book. You kind of liked it?
Yeah, I mean, I was fine with the book. I liked the premise. I thought it was like fresh. Basically, that was my perspective.
But do you think like the book lived up to your expectations of like fresh or whatever?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily. I understand the fact that it wasn't like fully entertaining. It wasn't like a riveting ride. You know, the way that like I would read like Harry Potter or I would read any of those fantasy books. But it definitely let me think about things that I usually don't think about.
Okay. But yeah, so anyway, that's all we have to say for this book, and that's it for our video. I will include, as always, all the links below if you want to check out Goodreads, to see other people's reviews, if you want to check out like the hard copy, if you want to buy it, the hard copy and the audiobook as well. And also I want to say, don't forget to sign up for my giveaway. Just FYI, I will link that down below as well. We're going up to 10 books, and the deadline to enter is May 1st.
Yeah.
So just go and put that out there. And as always, don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you liked it. But anyway, thank you everyone. Bye.